Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a moment, heart to heart. There comes a time in your life when you wake up and realize you've been giving too much to people who don't give a damn. You've been showing up, holding on, proving yourself, loving hard, staying loyal, and all you get in return is silence, neglect, or excuses. There's a moment in life when you've done all the talking, all the explaining, all the forgiving, and it still feels like your worth is being questioned. That's when you realize words aren't working anymore. No matter how much you express your heart, no matter how much loyalty you offer, the other person is either blind to your value or too comfortable to appreciate it. And in that moment, you are given a silent choice, a powerful one. You can either keep pushing for a seat at a table where you're barely noticed, or you can quietly stand up and walk away. And let me tell you something. Sometimes it's not the noise you make when you leave. It's the silence you leave behind that speaks the loudest. People often don't realize what they had until it's gone. And that's not just a cliche, that's human nature. When you're always available, always saying yes, always reaching out, always forgiving without change, they begin to assume you'll always be there. They stop listening because they think you'll never stop talking. They stop showing up because they believe you'll always understand. But the moment you go quiet, the moment you stop showing up for them like you used to, something shifts. That silence becomes a mirror. It reflects everything they took for granted, every sacrifice you made, every time you put their needs above yours, every moment you chose them, even when they didn't choose you. And let's be real, silence is uncomfortable for the other person because now they have no one to blame. They can't say you were too emotional, too intense, too demanding. You've said nothing. You've done nothing. You've simply removed your presence and with it the warmth, the energy, the loyalty, and the love you brought. That's when they start to notice. That's when the reality hits. Not when you were yelling, not when you were explaining for the 100th time, but when you just went still. When you decided your peace was more important than forcing someone to see your value. And here's the beauty in it. Silence protects your dignity. It keeps you from begging someone to stay who is already halfway out the door. It gives you the power back without needing revenge, without needing closure, without needing them to validate your pain. You stop needing answers because their actions already told you everything. You stop needing an apology because your silence already says, I deserve better. See, when you go quiet, you're not just walking away from them, you're walking toward yourself. You're reclaiming your power. You're telling the universe, I am done proving myself to people who can't see me. I am done exhausting my energy on someone who doesn't appreciate the light I bring. I'm not angry. I'm not bitter. I'm just unavailable for disrespect, for emotional neglect, for one-sided love. And that is one of the strongest positions a person can stand in. But the truth is, your presence was a gift. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they needed to lose it to realize it. That's not your burden anymore. Your job was never to convince someone to value you. Your only job was to be authentic, to love real, to give your best. And you did that. Now, let your absence do the talking. Let the silence remind them what your voice meant. Let the emptiness of the space you once filled with grace, laughter, patience, and love echo louder than any argument ever could. People will replay those memories They'll look for your name and not find it in their notifications. They'll scroll past old photos, hear old songs, walk past places you once went together. And in that silence, they'll realize your presence was a peace, a strength, a loyalty they didn't know how to cherish, but now it's gone. And you're not looking back. You're building forward, stronger, wiser, quieter, and more powerful than ever before. There comes a point in life where you have to draw a line between love and self-respect. Because the truth is, people don't treat you based on who you are. They treat you based on what you allow, the energy you accept, the boundaries you either set or ignore, the disrespect you let slide. All of it becomes a silent lesson you teach the world about how to handle you. When you let things go that hurt you, when you keep forgiving without accountability, when you shrink yourself to make others comfortable, you're not being kind, you're being unkind to yourself. Respect starts with you. Before anyone else can give it to you, you got to give it to yourself. That means speaking up when something doesn't feel right. That means walking away from conversations that drain you, from people who mock your worth, from situations that constantly leave you empty. If you don't protect your peace, no one else will. If you keep saying yes when everything in you wants to say no, you're not just betraying your boundaries, you're training people to ignore them. People will always push to see how far they can go. It's not even always malicious. It's just how human relationships work. But the moment you let something slide, the moment you say it's okay when it's not, you just told them this is acceptable. And that moment adds up. It becomes a pattern. First, it's a late reply with no explanation. Then it's a missed call. They never return. Then it's a broken promise, a lie, an excuse, a disrespect. And by then, it's not even about what they're doing, it's about what you've allowed. Because by staying silent, you've said, my comfort is less important than your convenience. My value is up for negotiation. My time, my heart, my presence, you can treat them however you want. But the truth is, once you start respecting yourself, once you start saying, this is not okay with me, everything changes. You'll lose some people, yes. Some people will call you difficult, too sensitive, too cold, let them talk. What you'll really lose are the ones who were only around because they could benefit from your silence. The ones who only showed up when it was easy. The ones who were never really for you. They were just there because you were always available. But when you start standing tall, when you say, I deserve more, when you stop justifying bad behavior with at least they're trying, suddenly those people start falling away. And that's exactly how it's supposed to happen. The people who truly value you, the ones who love you with respect, who see your worth even when you're not at your best, those people will rise to meet your standards. They won't run from your boundaries. They'll honor them. Because people who are meant for you won't feel threatened by your strength. They'll be drawn to it. So the next time someone crosses a line, pause and ask yourself, what am I teaching them by staying quiet? You deserve a love that doesn't require you to constantly explain your pain. You deserve friendships where you're not the only one checking in. You deserve a life where your peace isn't constantly under attack by people who don't know how to handle your heart. Respecting yourself means being okay with walking away, not in anger, not in revenge, but in clarity. The kind of clarity that says, I know what I bring, I know what I offer, and if you can't meet me at that level, it's okay. but I won't lower myself to stay where I don't belong. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to walk alone for a while, because the more you respect yourself, the more the world will mirror that back to you. And before you know it, you'll look around and see that you're no longer surrounded by people who tolerate you. You're surrounded by people who honor you. All because you finally chose to honor yourself first. There's a difference between effort and chasing. Effort is when two people meet in the middle, when they both care enough to reach, to check in, to show up. Chasing, on the other hand, is one-sided. It's when you're doing all the calling, all the planning, all the giving. It's when you feel like you're constantly auditioning for a role in someone's life that they haven't even decided they want to cast you in, and it's exhausting. It makes you question your worth. It makes you doubt your value. But let me tell you something. Love, real love, whether it's romantic, platonic, or even the respect between colleagues or family, it isn't something you should have to chase. It's something that should be returned. You are not meant to beg for connection. You're not supposed to feel like you're convincing someone to care about you. That's not love. That's not friendship. That's emotional labor with no payback. And that's not where you belong. You belong in rooms where your name is brought up in your absence with honor. You belong in circles where your silence is felt, not ignored. You deserve conversations where you don't have to fight to be heard. Relationships where you're chosen without hesitation. Connections where your presence is appreciated, not just tolerated. People often confuse love with pursuit. They think if they just do a little more, give a little more, maybe finally that person will notice. Finally, they'll appreciate them. But what's real doesn't need to be chased. You don't have to become smaller, quieter, nicer, less complicated, more easygoing just to be accepted. The right people will want the real you, all of you, not just the parts that are convenient, not just the versions that are easy to love. And if someone only shows up when you stop showing interest, if they only value you when they feel you slipping away, then they don't truly respect your heart. They just fear losing their control over your attention. That's not connection. That's ego. That's manipulation. Real love is not about power. It's about presence. It's about two people who choose each other freely, consistently, and without condition. The truth is, when you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you pull back all that energy you've been pouring into the wrong places, you begin to refill your own soul. And that's when you shine. That's when you move differently. That's when your spirit speaks before your words do. And people can feel that. People can feel when someone is no longer desperate for approval. They can feel when someone knows their value even in silence. You're not hard to love. You've just been offering your love to people who don't recognize its worth. You're not too much. You're just too real for people who are used to the shallow. And you're not asking for too much by wanting effort, consistency, kindness, and truth. That's the bare minimum where love and friendship are concerned. You don't need to beg for time or attention. You don't need to adjust your standards to be seen. You just need to stop running after people who are walking away from you. If someone wants to be in your life, they'll make it known. They'll make space for you, not excuses. And if they don't, let them go, not out of anger, not out of pride, but because you finally realize your love is not a sales pitch. It's not a discount. It's not a trial version. It's the full package. And the right people, they'll need to be convinced. They'll see it, they'll feel it, and they'll meet you with the same energy you've been so ready to give. So stop chasing love, let it find you. Doing the work, healing, becoming, growing, shining. The love that's real won't run when it gets hard. The friendship that's genuine won't fade when you're no longer entertaining. The respect that's mutual won't disappear when you stop proving yourself. All of those things. Love, friendship, respect, they are not meant to be hunted down. They are meant to be shared. There's a certain kind of pain that hits when someone plays you like you never mattered. When they overlook your loyalty, disrespect your kindness, or underestimate your strength, the natural human instinct is to clap back. You want them to feel what you felt, to hurt the way you hurt, to understand the weight of what they've done. But let me tell you something. Retaliation might feel good for a moment, but elevation lasts forever. You don't win by getting even, you win by getting ahead. When people mistreat you, ignore your worth, or try to tear you down, they expect a reaction. They expect drama, arguments, maybe a meltdown, maybe even revenge. That's what most people do. That's what keeps the cycle going. But when you take a step back, when you choose peace over pettiness, growth over gossip, success over spite, you disarm them completely. You leave them standing in their own mess, realizing you've taken your power back, not with words, but with action. See, elevation is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It's that moment you decide you're no longer explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. It's when you stop chasing closure and start chasing purpose. It's when you put all that energy you used to waste on trying to fix broken situations into building the life you deserve. And suddenly, you're moving different. You're glowing without needing to say a word. You're achieving without needing applause. And the same people who counted you out, now they're watching, wondering how you turned your pain into power. Revenge keeps you tied to the past. It keeps you locked in with people who don't deserve access to your energy anymore. But success, that's your freedom. That's how you break the cycle. You don't show them how much they hurt you. You show them how they couldn't stop you. You show them that while they were busy talking about you, you were busy building something they can't touch. That's how you win. Not by screaming louder, not by lowering yourself to their level, but by rising above it. And don't think people don't notice. Oh, they notice. They see the shift in you. They see the peace you carry now that you're no longer reacting. They feel your distance. They sense the boundary. And that silence, it's loud. It says everything you wanted to say, but with more impact. Because nothing shakes someone more than realizing they no longer have power over you, that their behavior no longer controls your mood, your time, or your dreams. You can't control how people treat you, but you can control what you do with it. You can use it as a reason to shrink, to harden, to close off, or you can let it push you higher. You can let it fuel the fire inside you to become everything they never believed you could be. That's the power of elevation. It turns disappointment into drive. It turns rejection into redirection. It turns every closed door into an opportunity to build your own. And the beautiful thing is, success doesn't always mean money or fame. Sometimes success is just peace, it's joy, it's self-respect. It's waking up in the morning and knowing you're no longer tied to people who didn't deserve you. It's creating a life so full, so whole, so focused that the past no longer even tempts you. That's a kind of success that can't be faked. That's a kind of victory that doesn't need to be posted. Because when you elevate, your life starts to speak for itself. The results become your response. The glow becomes your proof, and the growth becomes your revenge. So when someone hurts you, disrespects you, or doubts you, don't waste your time trying to make them feel it. Don't argue, don't explain, don't prove, just rise. Rise so high they have to look up to see you. Rise so far they can't reach you. Because that's what true power looks like. That's what healing sounds like. That's what elevation feels like. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is not fighting to stay, not trying to convince someone of your worth, not pleading to be understood or chosen. Sometimes the greatest strength lies in your ability to walk away. Not because you don't care, not because you gave up, but because you finally realized that holding on to someone who doesn't truly see you is costing you your peace, your self-respect, and your future. And you're no longer willing to pay that price. Let them lose you. Let them feel what it means to live without your light. Let them experience the silence that replaces your warmth, the absence that replaces your presence. Because if someone can look at your love, your time, your loyalty, and still treat it like an option, they never really deserved it in the first place. You can't force someone to see your value. You can't make someone appreciate your heart. You can only offer it. And if they mishandle it, then the lesson is no longer for them, it's for you. You don't owe anyone endless chances. You don't owe them explanations for the ways they've hurt you, especially when they already know. You don't need to stay in places that make you feel invisible just to prove you're loyal. Loyalty without boundaries becomes self-betrayal, and you were never meant to betray yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. Walking away doesn't mean you stop loving them. It doesn't mean the memories don't matter. It doesn't mean the connection wasn't real. What it does mean is that you finally love yourself enough to say, this isn't good for me anymore. It means you've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated being taken for granted. And now you're choosing growth over attachment, clarity over confusion, peace over chaos. Letting them lose you is not a punishment, it's protection. You're not doing it to hurt them. You're doing it to save yourself. Because every time you stayed when your soul begged you to go, every time you silenced your truth to avoid conflict, every time you made excuses for their behavior, you were slowly disappearing. And now it's time to come back to yourself, to remember who you are, to honor the love you've been giving to everyone else by giving it back to you. People don't always realize what they have until it's gone. That's not your fault, that's just life. Sometimes people need the silence to appreciate the sound. Sometimes they need to feel your absence to recognize your value. And if they never do, that's okay. Your worth isn't dependent on their realization. You're not walking away to be chased. You're not playing games. You're walking away because the version of you that begged to be chosen no longer exists. And let's be honest, it takes courage to walk away. It takes strength to say goodbye to someone you hoped would stay forever. But what you gain is far greater than what you lose. You gain freedom. You gain clarity. You gain space for something real, something mutual, something healthy. You open the door for healing, for new beginnings, for a life where you are not constantly questioning your value. Let them lose you and let them sit with the weight of what they took for granted. Let them live with the echo of your laughter, the absence of your messages, the silence where your energy used to be. Let them remember you not with anger, but with awe. Let them realize that the one they overlooked was the one who held them down the most, and by then, You'll be too far gone to look back. You'll be healing, you'll be glowing, you'll be moving forward in a life that no longer needs their validation. Because the truth is, when you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you walk into what does. And in that decision, in that step forward, you find a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, and no longer willing to settle for halfway love. So walk away, not out of bitterness. Let them lose you, and in doing so, let yourself win. There is a sacred kind of strength in healing quietly. Not every wound needs to be broadcast. Not every struggle needs an audience. Sometimes the most powerful transformation happens when no one is watching. When you're in the dark, crying through nights, picking yourself up in the morning, choosing every day to keep going, despite everything that's tried to break you. That's where your power grows, in the silence, in the discipline, in the choice to rebuild from the inside out without the need for applause or validation. Healing is not about proving anything to anyone. It's about choosing yourself again and again until the broken pieces slowly come together in a way that makes you whole. Not perfect, but stronger. It's about letting go of the noise, the opinions, the questions, the judgment. You don't owe anyone access to your pain. You don't need to explain your healing timeline. You don't have to defend your peace. People will wonder why you fell back, why you became quieter, why you stopped engaging. And that's fine. Let them wonder. Because what you're doing isn't about them. It's about protecting your energy, guarding your growth, and building a life that no longer revolves around pain. When you heal in silence, you create a space where clarity speaks louder than chaos. You stop reacting to what no longer deserves your attention. You start moving in purpose, focusing on what actually matters, your goals, your peace, your future. And that's when the shift happens. That's when you realize how much of your energy was being spent on people and situations that had no intention of pouring back into you. That's when you reclaim your time, your power, your voice. Your peace is not up for negotiation. It is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Without peace, you can't think clearly. You can't create. You can't grow. You can't show up fully for yourself or anyone else. So protect it like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Protect it from people who bring drama, who love chaos more than calm. Protect it from those who only come around to drain, never to uplift. Protect it from environments that disturb your spirit, from conversations that pull you backwards, from habits that keep you stuck in cycles you've already outgrown. And as you heal, you'll find that silence becomes your power. You're no longer explaining your decisions. You're no longer arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You're no longer trying to fix what someone else broke. Instead, you're moving with intention. Every step you take now has a purpose behind it. Every decision you make is aligned with your peace. You're not just existing, you're evolving. People may not understand your transformation, especially when they were used to the version of you who tolerated more, gave more, allowed more, but that's not your concern. You didn't come this far to stay the same. You didn't survive everything you've been through just to go back to what hurt you. You came this far to rise, to level up, to step into the version of you that honors your worth. You don't have to announce your healing journey. You don't have to post about your progress. Let your results speak for you. Let your peace do the talking. Let your energy shift so loudly that people feel the difference without you having to say a word. Because the most powerful people are not the loudest. They're the ones who've learned to master themselves, to move with quiet confidence, to live with deep intention. So take your time, heal in silence, move with purpose. Trust the process, even when it feels slow. Trust the growth, even when it's invisible to others. And most importantly, trust yourself, because you are no longer who you used to be. You are becoming something greater, something wiser, something calmer. And that peace you're protecting is the foundation of everything beautiful that's about to come next,